Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today we have my August wrap up. Now, this is the first ever wrap up that I've done. I actually haven't even managed to get to a weekly wrap up yet because I started doing the channel kind of close to the end of August. So while this could have technically been a weekly wrap up, I didn't want to do a weekly wrap up and then a monthly wrap up like straight afterwards. I kind of thought that would be a bit stupid. So what we're going to do today is we're going to run through the books that I've read. We're going to run through the best book of the month. We're going to run through the most disappointing book of the month. We're going to run through what I'm currently reading and what I'm going to read next. So to start off with, let's talk about the books that I read. I'm going to talk about them in the order I read them. So first off, and I'm going to warn you guys in advance, if you don't like Ryan Cahill's Bound and the Broken series, this is a bad month for you because 3 out of the 4 books that I'm going to be discussing are from that series. So I started the month with Of Darkness and Light, which is the second book in the Bound and the Broken. This is the kind of the continuing adventures of the characters from book 1 of Blood and Fire. So we get to see where everyone is up to. It pretty much carries straight on from the end of Blood and Fire. This book is, as I said, it's Darkness and Light by Ryan Cahill. Was published for the first time in 2021, so actually the same year as Of Blood and Fire. And it's mad, if you read both of those books close together, you can see how much Ryan improved purely just from, I think, finishing that first book. He then had just so much good that he was able to bring to the second. So much learning and so much more skill. The second book is a little longer than the first, and I think it's all the better for it. Whereas the first book, you get a lot of this is Caelan's point of view, and the only person that we really get to see how they see the world is Caelan. In book 2 of Darkness and Light, we switch to more of a multi-POV, which is my personal preference when it comes to fantasy. So you get a couple of new fan favourite characters, and you also get to see loads of different parts of the world. And Cahill does the thing that you see in a lot of big fantasy series, where he'll split the main characters off into different places, and that gives you the chance to kind of see other parts of the world, other cultures, other civilizations in this case. But it'll also give you the chance to kind of see through other people's eyes and to kind of just broaden and expand the world, which is something that he does here massively. The things that you get hints of in book 1, so when he talks about the freehold, the dwarven freehold, and he talks about the windrunner system, and you meet certain characters throughout the series in the first book. People pop back up, people recontextualize that first novel with other points of view. You get to recontextualize characters as well by seeing them outside of Caelan's original POV. It's just excellent. I think that the Bound and the Broken is I said in my top 5 fantasy series of all time review video that the Bound and the Broken has kind of snuck into there. And the more I read of War and Ruin, the more I think that that's absolutely true. So what was the next book I read? It's another Ryan Cahill book. So this book is The Exile, which is the novella it's designed to be read after book 2, but it is the backstory of I would say probably the main new POV in book 2, and is also a real fan favourite character. This is the story of Dane, who is the oldest son of the House of Ateres, which is the most powerful house in a country called Valtara that has been conquered by the Empire. The Voltarans are kind of like a mix between Vikings and ancient Romans. They kind of have a kind of an ancient Roman style of combat with like a shield wall. Actually, no, shield walls are all Viking as well. No, it's all Vikings. It's Vikings all the way down. So they have like a culture that's based around like tattoos. They fight with spears as well as swords, and one of the big things is the shield wall. But then also the big thing in their culture, which is something that wasn't really talked about in the first book, but it's kind of because we don't really get to see any Voltarans. But if you in the one of the biggest things in their culture is that they have raised wyverns, which are kind of small, fast dragons that aren't magical in the same way as the dragons are that the Dragon Guard ride. But they're more like they're almost treated like smart horses. They do bond with their riders, but it's not a magical bond. It's kind of like a, you know, how a dog and its owner bond, you know. And the other interesting thing about wyverns is that they can only be ridden by women. So the kind of the women of the Voltaran society are kind of put on this pedestal as being able to ride wyverns, as being like strong, powerful, and like the real linchpin of their army. So it's a really interesting culture. I really liked the way that we followed Dane through his life. So starting in Voltara with the Voltaran rebellion, and then following through the kind of what he has to go through after that rebellion, where he spends time with one of my new favourite characters, Belina, and we get to see loads more backstory for Belina as well, which is really cool because she gets a little bit of play in A Darkness and Light, and I was like, oh, this character is really interesting. And then you get way more of her in the Exile. So I'm going to do this is kind of acted as like a mini review for Of Darkness and Light and the Exile. I'm going to be clubbing together main novel and novella for the whole of the Bound and the Broken series that I've read so far, at least. So there's going to be a review for Of Blood and Fire and The Fall, and a review for Of Darkness and Light and The Exile. So keep an eye on the channel for these. If you are interested in Ryan Cahill and don't really know whether he's the kind of author for you, or he's going to tell the kind of story that you're interested in, I would say absolutely just give it a shot because they're all free on Kindle Unlimited. But if you like more in-depth discussion on that, keep an eye on the channel because there'll be reviews going up, and I'm going to film one later today. So yeah, keep an eye on that, and it'll be up on the channel soon. After the Exile, I read Three Body Problem by Liu Cixin, which is written on the cover as Cixin Liu. This was first published in English in 2014, translated by Ken Liu, the author of the Dandelion Dynasty. This is a science fiction kind of mystery novel. It's very, very, very hard sci-fi set in our world in roughly the present day. I've done a full review for this, which I will link in the description. I wasn't a massive fan of this one. It had some elements that I absolutely loved, and just as I was reading the book, I was desperate for more of that kind of storytelling. But overall, I thought the book was kind of boring is the wrong term. It was dry. It was very dry. The characters were very samey. They all felt like they spoke with the same voice. And overall, the book didn't work for me at all. Certain sections of the book, incredible, excellent, loved them. And I talked to a few people as part of it, because I read this as part of a read along with the Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews Discord. And a lot of people on that Discord who had read the next two novels in the trilogy said that the next two are far and away better than the Three Body Problem. So I have decided that I'm probably going to try and read on and read the next book. I know that Matt from Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews, is planning on reading the next book, which is called The Dark Forest, at the end of October. I think I'm going to be trying to do horror novels in October, so I don't know if I will read at the same time as him, but I'll try and get it close to, so that if, for example, you are on the Discord with me and we've been chatting about the book, you can watch Matt's review and then you can watch mine, and we'll kind of tie into each other, and I think that's kind of fun. So the next book that I started is, I've got the physical here, this chunker. It's massive. It's Of War and Ruin. It's over 1,000 pages. This is also by Ryan Cahill. I am about halfway through this book. I'm just under 500 pages. I'm absolutely loving it. I read almost 200 pages today. It is addictive. It's incredibly well written. It is almost as much of a leap in quality from Of Darkness and Light as how much of a leap in quality Of Darkness and Light was from Of Blood and Fire, and I did not think that was possible. I thought that once when Ryan Cahill went from his 4-star first novel, his first ever novel, a 4-star, to a 5-star sequel, I did not think that he could go up from there. And I did actually rate The Exile as 4 out of 5. But Cahill has managed to do the impossible and write a better novel than his 5-star sequel. This might be one of those books that you can really say, this is basically a 6-star book. This is even if you aren't a fan of the genre, this series is worth a read because this book is so good. I'm not going to really go into too much detail here, more than just, as I said, how much I love it. I'm halfway through. If it sticks to the landing and people I'm talking to are saying that the second half of the book is much better than the first, then is The Band of the Broken going to become my favourite fantasy series of all time? Close. It's a close run thing right now. The size of these books versus my kind of current favourite, which is the Dresden Files, is a huge advantage, because it gives Cahill that bigger canvas in which to paint his picture, where Jim Butcher has to fit in his world building amongst these smaller case file novels. Cahill can make huge chunks of his work world building, because it's all building to that climax, that storytelling that he's already doing. So if you can't tell, best book of the month is this one, is Of War and Ruin, and I'm gonna crown Of War and Ruin as best book of the month, even though I haven't finished it. I would imagine I'll finish it by the end of August, but if not, it'll be very early in September. I'm probably going to spend a lot of tomorrow reading, as it's Bank Holiday Monday. This video should probably go up after tomorrow, or maybe Monday. Same day. But I won't have finished it yet, but I will finish it. Almost certainly I'll be finishing it this week. What am I reading next? So next up, I am going to be reading Piranesi by Susanna Clarke, which is something that I discussed in my TBR video, and I'm going to reiterate here. Basically, I have absolutely no idea what this book is about. I've been told to go in completely blind, and I'm doing that. So all I know is it's got kind of a fawn on the cover, like one of those goat leg fairy lads. It's got a fawn on the cover. I don't know what the name of the book is, or what it refers to. I don't know anything. I know it's fantasy, and I know that a lot of people that I respect on BookTube have said that they love this book, and I don't think I've seen anyone say that they didn't like it, and that includes the people who kind of don't like the highbrow, deep fantasy stuff like Malazan. So I really think that this is going to be a real winner, and will it come close to being book of the year? I guess we'll find out. It's a pretty short book, so once I start it this week, I'm expecting to kind of finish it this week. So that is everything. That's the monthly wrap up for August. Um, Feels like a kind of packed month because I did talk about 4 different things. Wait, five? No, four. I talked about 4 different books. One of which was a novella, um, and one of which I haven't finished. So it's kind of par for the course. If I these two of these books were massive 800 and 1,000 page books, so you'll forgive me for not finishing more stuff this month. Next month, I have got a few short books lined up so that I can have a little bit more to talk about. So after Piranesi, which is quite short, we've got the second in the Alex Vera series, which is Cursed by Benedict Jacker. After that, I'm going to be looking at The Ice by Ryan Cahill, although I'm hoping to get to something else in between then. And I've got a few other things stacked up here that I want to read. I will do a TBR video probably first week of September, so next week maybe. Until then, I will speak to you. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and please give it a like and a subscribe, and I hope to speak to you soon.